Every hour you spend sitting, there's a muscle deep inside your hips that's quietly getting shorter and tighter. And after 60, that one muscle can press on the very nerves and vessels that feed your firmness and your stamina below the belt. Most men have never heard its name, their doctor has never mentioned it, and yet it could be one of the most overlooked reasons that blood flow where it matters starts to fade. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you a single 60-second daily release for it, but the part most men get wrong about this muscle comes a little later, so stay with me, because doing it wrong can actually make things worse. Let me tell you what we're talking about. Deep in your body, behind your stomach, there's a muscle called the psoas. It runs from your lower spine down through the pelvis and connects to the top of your thigh bone. It's the main muscle that lifts your knee toward your chest. And here's the thing about it. It's a sitting muscle. Every single hour you spend in a chair, at the kitchen table, in the car, in the recliner watching the game, that muscle is held in a shortened position. Do that for years, decades, and it adapts. It gets short, it gets tight, it stops letting go even when you stand up. Now, why would a hip muscle have anything to do with blood flow down there? Here's the plain language version. That deep hip region is crowded. Running right alongside and underneath the psoas are major blood vessels heading down into the pelvis and the legs, and a web of nerves that branch out to everything in that area, including the structures responsible for performance. When the psoas is chronically tight, it acts like a clamp. It can compress, crowd, and tug on that neighborhood, and anything that narrows or pinches the pathway for blood and nerve signals into the pelvis is working directly against the thing you want, which is full, easy circulation arriving where it matters. And I want to connect this to something bigger, because this is the piece that ties all of this together. Firmness, real firmness, is mostly a blood flow event. It depends on healthy blood vessels and on a little molecule called nitric oxide, which is what tells those vessels to relax and open up so blood can rush in and stay. The vessels that handle performance are small, much smaller than the ones around your heart, which is exactly why they're the first to show trouble. So picture this. Maybe your blood sugar has been creeping up over the years, even just into that pre-diabetic range. That extra sugar quietly damages the delicate lining of your blood vessels and drives nitric oxide down, so the vessels already struggle to open. Now add a tight psoas physically crowding the highway those vessels travel on. You've got a supply problem and a traffic jam at the same time. That combination is far more common after 60 than anyone talks about. Honestly, I was skeptical about the muscle part of this when I first read about it. I thought, come on, a hip muscle, really? But the anatomy is just real. The psoas genuinely sits in that crowded corridor, and tight hips are one of the most universal things that happen to men who've spent a working life in a chair. It's not the whole story, but it's a real piece of it, and it's one of the few pieces you can actually do something about in 60 seconds a day. So let's figure out if yours is too tight. I want you to do this little check with me right now, wherever you're sitting. Stand up slowly, put your hands on your hips. Now gently push your hips forward like you're trying to make a slight arch, and notice the front of your hip and the top of your thigh. Does the front of the hip feel pulled, tight, like a guitar string that won't give? That's a clue. Here are the other signs the psoas is too tight. You feel stiff in the front of the hips for the first few steps after standing up from a chair. Your lower back aches, especially after sitting because a tight psoas pulls on the spine. You feel like you can't quite stand up fully straight, like something's holding your posture slightly folded, and you notice that the longer you sit during the day, the more sluggish things feel below the belt by evening. If 2 or more of those ring true, this 60-second release is worth your time. And while we're on the subject of supporting that blood flow from the inside too, there's a natural blood flow support I personally like to pair with this kind of work. I left it down in the description if you ever want to look into it. No pressure at all, it's just there. Now before I show you the release, this is the part most men get wrong, so listen closely. When men hear tight muscle, they think, stretch it hard. They yank into a deep lunge, bounce up and down, grit their teeth. With the psoas, that's a mistake. This muscle is deep and protective, and if you stretch it aggressively or bounce on it, it tightens up to defend itself, the opposite of what you want. The trick is slow, gentle, and held. You're not forcing it open. You're giving it permission to let go. Gentle wins here. Remember that. Here's the release step by step. You'll need a soft surface, a carpet, a folded towel, a yoga mat. Get down into a kneeling position on one knee like you're proposing. Let's say your right knee is down, your left foot is flat on the floor in front of you. Pad that down knee so it's comfortable. Now, first key move. Tuck your tailbone slightly under like you're gently pulling your belt buckle up toward your chin. You'll feel the stretch shift to the front of that right hip immediately. That tuck is what actually targets the psoas. Second, keep your chest tall and slowly, gently shift your weight forward just an inch or two, only until you feel a mild, comfortable pull in the front of the right hip, not pain, a stretch you could hold and breathe through. Third, hold it there and breathe slow, in through the nose, long and easy out through the mouth. Each time you exhale, let the hips sink just a hair deeper. Hold for about 30 seconds on this side, then switch, left knee down, and do the other side for 30 seconds. That's it, 60 seconds total, once a day. Do this every day and you're undoing a little of what 8 or 10 hours of sitting does to that crowded corridor in your hips. You're helping take a clamp off the pathway so blood and nerve signals can travel more freely toward where you want them. The best time? I like doing it in the evening after a long day of sitting or in the morning to start things loose. Pick whatever you'll actually remember. And let me be straight with you about expectations, because I'm not here to sell you a miracle. One stretch is not going to undo years overnight, and it's not the only thing that matters. Your blood sugar, your movement, your sleep, all of it stacks together. But this is free. It takes a minute, and it targets something genuinely real that almost nobody addresses. That's a good trade in my book. So here's your simple takeaway. Stop sitting for hours unbroken. Get up every 45 minutes or so, even just to walk to the kitchen, and do that 60-second release once a day. Small inputs done daily are how circulation gets better after 60. And like I mentioned, if you want to check out the blood flow support I personally use alongside this, it's down in the description. Completely optional. Just there if you're curious. Take care of that body of yours. It's the only one you've got, and it responds to attention at any age. Just remember, this is general education to help you ask better questions, not medical advice. So loop in your doctor about your own situation. I'll see you in the next one.